continue to do so. There's some delicious desserts up there as well. And we always like to thank Martha, Becky for everything they do here for us. They always put a wonderful meal on. Thank you all. On behalf of the Bardstown Industrial Development Corporation and the Nelson County Economic Development Agency, again, we welcome you. And I hope you know it's a true team effort for what we do. Fortunately for me, I get to stand up here and say great things about the community and about your companies, but there's a real team behind us that does that. And I have my team here with me, which are the NCEDA Board of Directors and the BIDC Board of Directors. And if you'll just raise your hands when I call your name to acknowledge and to thank you all for what you do. On NCEDA, Mayor John Royalty cannot be here. He's represented by Kathy Graham, Judge Dean Watts, John Downs, Nikki Rapier, Bill McCloskey, David Floyd, and John Ballard. On my BIDC, Frank Brown Wilson, Judge Watt, Mayor Royalty, Bill Conway, Nikki Rapier, Raphael Winsett, Dick Heaton, Bernard Ice, Bobby Simpson, and Billy Donaldson. Thank you all for all your support that you give the community. Nelson County is blessed with good leadership. I think you know that in what you all have to do in your companies, and we're really, really fortunate to have leaders that understand the importance of economic and industrial development. From Mayor Royalty in his new term to Judge Dean Watts in his, what term now?
22nd year.
22nd year in government as a leader of our county. They are our supporters. They listen to us, they listen to you, and they make our community and our county the great one that we do have now. So it's with pleasure that I introduce to you the leader of our county and who makes everything turn around here, Nelson County Judge Executive Dean Watts.
And I brought this pretty weather with me today. Not even election year. Isn't that terrible? The governor not even on the ballot. It takes the fun out of it now. Now you know better than that. I was teasing Lieutenant Governor earlier at the table sitting over here about her bodyguards, I call them. Did you see that one fellow, how big he was? And I'm talking about him. And the other couple of fellows with him. I told Lieutenant Governor I've seen presidents come to Bardstown and governors come to Bardstown, and nobody's had that kind of security ringing around. She's an important lady, I can tell you that. You know, when you start trying to get ready to introduce someone, I always try to research. You think you know someone, so you start looking at Wikipedia. It has how old you are. so I'm not going to mention that. But you know, the history of someone like the Lieutenant Governor and their history of service to the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the communities where she grew up and on into Center College. It's just great to see how someone has progressed in their lives, and it makes you you know, appreciate the leadership and the time and dedication that this lady has given to the Commonwealth, because there are other ways in life that she could have, with a Center College degree, could have earned more money in other sectors of life. But I had the pleasure also of working with the Lieutenant Governor while she was the state auditor. She actually called me personally on a couple of occasions, and we talked about issues through the years. So she has always been in contact with local government. She understands local government. And that's something that a lot of people in state government doesn't have the ability, because they're a political appointee by someone because of the election process. But she truly understands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Lieutenant Governor Chris Luallen.
Thank you so much, Judge. You know, not every county judge was glad to get my call when I was state auditor. But Judge Watts always was, because it was always a positive conversation. He's been such an outstanding leader, and I appreciate your service. If we're going to start talking about how long we've been around, I think you got me beat. It's also my great honor to be sitting with Norma Rapier. Norma and her family are lifelong friends of mine, and her husband Kenny was one of my great mentors. And always such an honor, Norma, to see you and to know that you continue to provide this community with such outstanding leadership. You know, it's always great for me to come to Bardstown. I think this community, and I travel all over the state, and I have at all the jobs that I've held, but I think this community has a real special spirit. It's a spirit of community engagement, community involvement, real inclusiveness that brings the business leadership together with the public leadership. And you have such a unique heritage and image. In Bardstown, now Kentucky home, this place for Kentucky is an iconic part of who we are as a state. And I think that's such an important model to show other communities. I'm from Frankfort originally. I'm a Frankfort native who lives in the same farmhouse where I've lived all my life. And a lot of times people who are in Frankfort leadership, community leadership, not state government, will ask my advice on things that they're interested in about our local community. And I always say to them, look at Bardstown. Look how community can really come together and preserve what is best about its past, but also be committed to a strong economic strategy for the future. And you really are a model for the rest of the state, and for that I really appreciate all of the engagement of the leaders in this community. You also have such a strong philanthropic and community service component of your community. The United Way here is so important to providing that network that is critical to ensuring that you have a strong community from top to bottom. And it's really a great honor to be here today as you celebrate your successes over the past year. Kentucky and this county, Nelson County, both have an exciting story to tell. And you are very fortunate to have your local efforts in economic development led by Kim Houston. We have been together a couple of times lately in New York and Chicago, most recently, as we have taken the Kentucky story on the road. I've done a good bit of that as Lieutenant Governor. I think Kim was at least at 2 of those meetings with us. And she does such an outstanding job of representing you. When we're at those events out of state, we are selling Kentucky. We're selling our communities. We're selling Bardstown and Nelson County. And there's not a better one at doing that than Kim Houston. And you're very, very fortunate to have her. You know, as a lifelong Kentuckian with deep roots here, I am now working with my 7th governor. If you add up those years and the fact that I served as state auditor for 8 years, you can kind of get close to how old I am. I joked last night, I was with Governor Beshear and some others in Louisville at an event, and I joked that I now had my 7th governor in training. And I think I'm making progress. But seriously, I have been around enough to watch and learn and understand government, leadership, public policy, and I think I have a bit of a unique perspective about where Kentucky is today as a state and where we're going. And the good news is the state is moving in the right direction. And you in this room are an important part of that progress because of what we're seeing in the economy here in Nelson County. As Lieutenant Governor, it's been a high honor for me to serve as Lieutenant Governor with Steve Beshear, because I've watched as this governor has led the state with a steady hand through the worst recession of our lifetime. And we have now come out on the other side of that in better shape than many states because of his leadership. Kentucky was recognized last spring by Site Selection magazine, which is sort of the Bible of the industrial development community. We were recognized with the Governor's Cup by that magazine for having the highest level of economic development per capita in the nation last year. That's economic development investment per capita. In 2014 alone, Kentucky announced more than 350 new location and expansion projects, projected to create more than 15,000 jobs and more than $3.7 billion in new investment. That's the most business investment in Kentucky since our Cabinet for Economic Development started recording that data in 1987, Nikki. That's an incredible achievement for us. And right now, this year, we're on pace to surpass that record in 2015. In Nelson County, right here, we've been proud to partner with this community on 39 economic development announcements since Governor Beshear took office, with a total investment of more than $179 million that created or saved more than 360 jobs here. Those are projects that range from Heaven Hill Distilleries with more than a $59 million investment, Barton's 1792 Distillery, $12 million and 50 new jobs, American Fuji Seal, a $10 million investment, 45 jobs, and the list goes on. And the Beshear administration has authorized more than $122 million for road construction here in Nelson County. Highway safety initiatives, resurfacing, construction, other transportation projects across the county. And just today in Frankfort, just a few hours ago, it was announced that Kentucky's unemployment rate has now dropped to 5%. That's down from nearly 11% at the height of the recession. And the really good news is that Kentucky has been better than the national average in unemployment for a full year now. We have typically, historically, lagged behind the rest of the nation in a recovery. But this time we're ahead of the curve, we're ahead of that national average in unemployment and have been for a full year. Here in Nelson County, you've seen that same trend. Your unemployment at this time last year was 5.6%, and today it is 4.4%, and Judge, that's good news for Nelson County. In other good news, our general fund receipts, the money coming into Frankfort, in the first quarter of 2015 increased 6.9% over the same period last year. And that's one of the best indicators of economic activity, is the revenue trends coming into state government. Because we had to cut over $1 billion during the height of the recession from state agencies all across government, impacting a range of programs. And now we are beginning to see revenues coming back in a way where we can restore the progress of investing in education, as an example. So clearly Kentucky's economy is on the move. Now, we realize we've got some challenges that remain, a number of them. And one of those challenges is to be sure, now that we're creating jobs at this pace, that we have the availability of skilled labor to fill those jobs. That's our next big challenge. And those of you in business know that. What's happening right now is companies who have jobs are not finding enough people with the right skills and abilities who are healthy enough and drug-free to be able to fill those jobs. So we've taken a lot of strategic steps to help meet that need. In fact, since taking office, the governor's made job readiness a key priority. We've created partnerships to bring industries and schools together to provide work-based learning and training opportunities. We've launched innovative apprenticeship programs, including Kentucky Fame, and we've broken ground on an advanced manufacturing center as part of our community and technical college system that's located in Georgetown. And Kentucky was one of the first states to implement a work-ready communities program. And that certifies the quality of a workforce based on 6 criteria specified by site selectors, business and industry leaders, economic developers, and local officials. And I know many of you in this room know the importance of that designation, because Nelson County is now a certified work-ready community, and I congratulate everyone who was involved in that effort, because that puts you on the map for folks who are considering investment and location and job creation to know that you as a community are committed to having a prepared workforce. So an official Federal Reserve evaluation has confirmed that Kentucky's economy has not only recovered the losses that were suffered during the recession, but has moved on to its highest level ever of economic activity. Now, despite our progress, obviously we've still got a long ways to go for the long term, and we'll keep working in this administration until our last day in office to create that stronger economy. One of the challenges is that we have uneven progress in different regions of the state. And to ensure statewide progress, the governor has launched an initiative that will bring high-speed broadband, internet broadband access to every corner of the state. We're starting in eastern Kentucky because that region has been hard hit by the loss of coal jobs, losing over 7,000 jobs in the east in the last 2 years. But we will reach every region of the state by 2018 with new high-speed internet access. This broadband initiative is a $350 million public-private partnership with Macquarie Capital from Australia. It's one of the largest partnerships of its kind, and once completed, Kentucky will have one of the fastest, highest capacity networks in the United States. That will enhance education, healthcare delivery, it will bolster small business, and it will encourage new economic development. State-of-the-art technology is vital to our being competitive in this 21st century economy. We know that. We used to say parts of Kentucky would never be able to catch up because we have geographic isolation and inadequate infrastructure and transportation. Technology erases those historic barriers. So we've got to be sure that Kentucky stays at that cutting edge of offering technology that businesses need and all of our citizens need. The other goal critical to being competitive is to build an educated workforce that can compete for these increasingly high-tech, high-skilled, knowledge-based jobs. And that's why in Kentucky, education remains a critical priority. And we're moving in the right direction there as well. Today in Kentucky, student performance has improved tremendously, college and career readiness has skyrocketed, and our high school graduation rates are climbing. Back in 2011, education experts measured college and career readiness for Kentucky. How ready are our kids coming out of high school for jobs or college? They measured us at 38% in 2011. Today, that number is 67% and rising. That's a critical measurement. Meanwhile, our high school graduation rate now in Kentucky rose to 88% last year. That puts us the 10th highest in the country. And everybody who's got any history in Kentucky knows that our long-term historic challenge was having an adult population without an adequate level of education and one of the highest numbers of adults without a high school diploma. So we've turned that around, 88% high school graduation rate. For this administration, the idea of an educated workforce goes hand in hand with the governor's push for a healthier Kentucky and a healthier workforce. When the Affordable Care Act was passed in Washington, Governor Beshear enthusiastically embraced the opportunity that it presented for Kentucky. Since then, more than 500,000 Kentuckians have signed up for health coverage through Connect, our state benefit exchange, and 75% of them had no insurance before they signed up. Thanks to that health coverage, Kentuckians tell us every day that they've finally gotten treatment and medications for chronic health issues. They've had life-saving diagnoses or surgeries. They're getting care before they end up at the emergency room with critical medical issues that cost all of us more money to take care of them at that stage. And these reforms are having a real effect already. The number of Kentuckians receiving screenings and preventive care has risen dramatically, in some cases more than doubling, since Medicaid expansion took effect. I'm talking about mammograms, colonoscopies, prostate screening, all of those more than doubled. And now Kentucky's seen as a national leader for the successful implementation of health care reform. You can call it Obamacare if you want to be controversial, if you want to try to get people divided on this issue, but in Kentucky we did it the Kentucky way. It's Kentucky Connect, and it's working in Kentucky. And recent census data now shows that Kentucky had the biggest drop in the uninsured rate in the country last year. Before health care reform, 20.4% of our people were without health insurance, and today that number stands at 8.5%, the biggest drop in the country. And why are we worried about this? How does it connect to these other issues that are so important to our future? Look at the history of our state. Historically, we've had some of the worst health rankings in the nation. I'm a cancer survivor, so I'm very passionate about this issue. We've had among the worst statistics for lung disease, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and cancer. And those rankings haven't changed in 25 years. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to turn that around and create a healthier population. And I speak a lot about this issue around the state, and I always ask the question, how can any public leader sleep at night if they are opposed to health care reforms, knowing we have the highest mortality rate for cancer in America in this state? Now, last year, to help keep this project on track and to track our progress, the governor created Kentucky Health Now, an initiative that I chair. What's important about that is it set in place 7 very ambitious, specific goals about improving the health of our people, from reducing our rates of smoking, obesity, cancer, cardiovascular deaths by 10% over 5 years, cutting the percentage of children with untreated dental decay by 25%, reducing deaths from drug overdose by 25%. Very specific, measurable goals to see if, in fact, we're gaining on this issue. The first report, Kentucky Health Now, issued in March, showed progress toward nearly every single one of those goals. The only exception was deaths from drug overdose. And you know what an epidemic that problem is in Kentucky. And we passed comprehensive heroin legislation in the spring that we hope will turn that number around as well. But the point is, we are finally moving the needle on some of our most stubborn health issues in the state. And how is that connected to the broader economic development future of our state? Better health, especially for our workforce, has tangible positive impacts. Fewer sick days, more production, a more productive workforce with more people in it who are healthy enough to work, and a higher quality of life for all of our citizens. It's critical to our economic prosperity. Kentuckians aren't only receiving new health services in record numbers, but there's also been a tangible positive economic benefit from all of this. Since we expanded Medicaid in Kentucky, $2.2 billion has been paid out to Kentucky providers all across the Commonwealth. Just here in Nelson County, that meant in 2014, $8.2 million new dollars to Flagey Memorial Hospital. And those numbers are repeated all across the state. So there is a positive impact to local economies from the expansion of healthcare as well. So Kentucky's on the move. We're breaking records in economic development. We're seeing dynamic progress in the education and health of our workforce. But in my career, and I have been in this arena a long time, I've seen two problems that have held us back. Time and again, as a state, we failed to remain on course with a sustained commitment to successfully tackling some of our toughest economic challenges. What happens in Frankfurt is we tend to get excited about something, we jump on it, we have a governor who makes it a priority, and then everybody backs up. We take 4 steps forward, 5 steps back, we change gears, we start focusing on something else. Right now, we're at a point in time where if we can stay with a sustained commitment on improving the health and education of our people and continuing to grow this economy, we can overcome some of those long-term historic barriers. The second problem that's held us back that I've seen is that we failed to, in the public policy arena, we failed to connect the dots. People in government tend to work in their silos, and they tend to think about education if that's their job, or economic development if that's their job. And the point is, all of these things are intrinsically linked. We have to focus on getting a healthier population to have a stronger workforce. We have to focus on having a better educated population if we're going to be competitive for high-skilled, quality jobs in the future. We're never going to turn around the number of people going in the prison doors until we have more educated people going into quality job opportunities. So it's all connected. All of these public policy issues are vital. And for those of you who are in business and working every day, I know you've got your specific issues that you have to face and deal with, but everything that I've talked about here affects your ability to prosper in business. So as I wrap up today, I want to offer you a challenge, and that is to be as involved a citizen leader as you possibly can. And think about how your personal efforts contribute to the greater good. I know the business leaders here have full schedules, you have overwhelming responsibilities, but I'd urge each of you to be fully engaged personally in the public arena. And do that by following the issues, watch what's happening in Frankfurt, what's being debated in the legislative process, what are the budget priorities. Support your political party, whatever party that is. Support candidates for public office as an informed voter. Find out what they stand for, what they believe in, and what their record of accomplishment is. Remember that we've got critical elections in Kentucky in 2.5 weeks. Last spring, our last election, the turnout was 12.5%. Now that means 12.5% of our people were engaged enough to go to the polls and weigh in and be part of what will the future of this state be. And I would encourage you, as you get involved in elections and think about how all of these issues impact your success, I would encourage you to remember not just to support candidates during the political process when we're all kind of excited about campaigns, but after elections, hold their feet to the fire on the issues that are important to you. I've seen this happen time and again. Folks get elected to office and then everybody sort of goes home. And important decisions are being made in Frankfurt and Washington every single day. And it's incumbent on all of you as leaders to let your elected leaders hear from you on these issues that are important to you. They do listen. Governors listen. Their staffs listen. Legislators listen. And your thoughts need to be part of that process. We're a state that, in spite of our current momentum, still faces some very difficult challenges. It's going to take all of us pulling together to tackle those. but we are also part of the greatest democratic nation in the world. And as citizens of that democracy, it's critical that we all renew our commitment to be responsible participants. If we all contribute, and if we all work together, we can continue this momentum that we see today and help ensure a stronger future for the generations that follow ours. Thank you so much for the chance to be with you today.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I think you see now why we asked the Lieutenant Governor to go on the road with us in economic development. She is such an advocate and such a champion for economic development, and she gets it. She understands the importance, and she can speak to it, and people listen, and people understand. And she's a wonderful salesperson for economic development, and I have enjoyed traveling with her and being part of her team doing this. We're talking about our celebration successes on the state level and on the local level, and just briefly I want to roll through a couple of successes that we are celebrating already this year in 2015. Of course, as you know, we've got, if you've been out to the Wilson Industrial Park, you see a brand new company going up. Lieutenant Governor was here when we made that announcement with Itsua. They are on track to be opening probably in the middle of next year, and we're excited about having that new company in our Wilson Industrial Park. We have Steve Nally, Master Distiller of the Bardstown Bourbon Company, here with us. If you've ever rolled down the Parkway, you can see that beautiful building going up also. We're excited to get that building up and going. We hope to have them in business mid-year next year? June, July of next year. And we'll be celebrating that, so you'll hear more about that as we go through. And many of you I'm working with or have worked with already this year on expansion projects, including Mitsuba, Tower Automotive, Jonad America, Heaven Hill, Jim Beam, Barton, and Wolf Distillery. All of these are either have completed an expansion project or in the works an expansion project. And we have 2 or 3 more we're working with right now in the Cabinet for Economic Development locally to aid in their expansion processes or other things they may have in with equipment. And we are here for you. The team that I announced earlier to you, along with our City Council, Fiscal Court, all of our other members, we're here for you. There are opportunities in this community for you to grow. And if you don't know about all of these, there's new things coming down with the Cabinet for Economic Development all the time. Please come to us. If you see there's a time or opportunity you want to grow, do something, let us know. We'll walk you through it. We'll be with you and hold your hand throughout the entire process, because we've got that opportunity here along with the state to make that happen for you. We welcome Newcomb Oil and their new corporate headquarters going in the industrial park on Withrow Court. I think a beautiful new addition to a building that Mitsua had, and we welcome them and opening that area too. Nelson County is a certified work-ready community, as Lieutenant Governor said. Next step into that, we have now, along with Dr. Orr and several people that have been working on this, we're now developing a work-ready certificate. It's something we're starting early on to get these students career ready, to let them go through processes through the school system, come out with a certificate in their hand and say, I am ready to work in your company. And hopefully that will move them up a bit. We're excited. It's a pilot program we're doing, and I can't wait to tell you all more about it when we actually have our first class going through that. But that's something that's pretty exciting for us here. Nelson County Technical School is a project we're working on. Several of you in this room right now are working with me on this. We are changing the curriculum, Dr. Orr, and we are excited about it. Some of the old curriculums going out, we're putting industrial curriculum in our Nelson County Technical School here right now, including industrial maintenance and hopefully eventually industrial engineering program. These are the things that you all have asked for. These are the things we have come together, whether it be at NELCO or HR Consortium or just one-on-one. We know what you want, and we're working toward it. And we will be coming to you, whether it's equipment you can help us with, whether it's training some of these students, whether it's working in here. We're going to come to you, but we're going to have a new opportunity to train our students to go right directly into your companies. Another thing I'm very proud, and many of you all participated in this, we are now just today unveiling our new Nelson County Wage and Benefits Survey. 16 of you all in this room participated. 16 companies participated, from our largest to our smallest. And this is a brand new report that updates wages, benefits, time off, all the benefits that companies are offering and what the averages are. This is a great recruiting tool for me when a company comes in and wants to know. Thank you all who all participated in this. We have this available on our website, incita.net, for you to download and take a look at, especially every one of you all filled it out and been anxious to see that. So that's a new tool that we have we're really happy about. We're happy that Salt River Electric now has a new service center adjacent to our Nelson County Industrial Park. Do you know how important that is to have an electric company in and near your industrial park? We had a client in this week and we told them about it. Having a service center right there to help the needs of the company is truly important, and we're so pleased to have Salt River Electric as one of our partners. New gas line into the Nelson County Industrial Park is going to make us, the companies out there, be better and allow us to recruit more as well too. And I see Steve Nally shaking his head saying thank you very much for the gas line. And so these are things your leaders as fiscal court members, as city council members are doing to make sure you all stay healthy and happy right here in Nelson County. And then I wouldn't be remiss in the last couple things to tell you some accolades we had in 2015, because it's nice every now and then to be able to pat ourselves on our backs. In May, Governor Beshear was here to announce that Bardstown, Nelson County had been named by Site Selection magazine as one of the top 10 micropolitans in the U.S. for new and expanding businesses. That's the top 10 in the U.S. for projects that we've done over the last 12 months. Announced that Incita and VIDC have been named one of the top 20 ED agencies in the U.S. In May, Southern Business and Development magazine named the Nelson County Industrial Park site as one of the best industrial sites in the state of Kentucky. And Bardstown was named #1 best town in Kentucky to raise a family. So not only is Bardstown a good place to work, it's a place that you want to live, and it's a place you want to raise a family. And I think that's very, very important to us. We are here for you. We hope we grow together. We appreciate everything that you do for us all the time, and we hope you will call on us. And now it's my privilege to introduce to you the chairman of the Bardstown Industrial Development Corporation, Bill Conway.
Thank you, Kim. You know, the Lieutenant Governor mentioned it, but I think if we're having an appreciation for industry, that we ought to appreciate Kim Houston for what she's been doing. She gets up here and talks about everything, but she really, really works very, very hard every day. We do appreciate it. And we appreciate each and every one of you all for coming out today for this Industry Appreciation Luncheon. Lieutenant Governor, it's always a special day in our community whenever you come, and we certainly appreciate you working us into your schedule. She didn't tell me what she did this morning, but she's got our lunch today, she has 2 meetings, and then she's hosting a party at her house this evening. So she's a pretty active gal, and we certainly appreciate you coming in. You know, we love all of the industry that's in Bardstown from Nelson County, and we're really excited about the projects that we're working on right now that are looking at Bardstown and Nelson County. And we're also planning for industrial recruitment for the future and the opportunities that they're going to bring. And so we want that to be as good in the future as it is now and as it has been in the past. So we really just want to thank you for coming, and hopefully you all have a great afternoon on this beautiful day, and we appreciate it. Thank you.